Did you know every 2 years your realtor is required to take 18 credit hours of continuing education? How exciting is your Realtor CE? What's up, everybody? Nic DeSeelhorst here with eXp Realty. Today I'm going to be talking about the credit hours that I took recently and just a little bit about what I've been doing as far as continuing education in my journey as a realtor. Every 2 years being you need to take 18 credit hours. These are a few of the credit hours that I took, so I'm going to dive into some video footage of me on site at the education, at the training. Then we're going to come back to my office and I'll tell you a little bit about what we learned. And then we're going to go back to the site out in Daybreak and take a little bit of the tour that we enjoyed after the CE and got to see a little bit about the water course that they're building out in Daybreak. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So today I'm out in Daybreak learning about the history of zoning and urban design and their impact on housing. Those are the credit hours that I'm learning about today. Hey y'all, I just wanted to interrupt the video and tell you a little bit about the CE class that I took, the history of zoning and urban development and the impact on housing. So the course director, Mike Hawthorne, is a realtor and city planner, community development principal for Larry H. Miller Real Estate. He decided to create this CE course because he, like myself, have noticed the really stale nature that CE tends to have. It's really pretty boring, stale, dry, overdone topics, and he decided to create an entire course on the history of zoning and urban design and the impact on housing because it's actually pertinent information for communities to learn and real estate agents to know, because we do have a pretty pivotal role and involvement in the creation of communities. So it's a really cool course. We cover things like urban design, the history of development patterns, as well as zoning's role in prohibiting certain housing types in communities, as well as its role in impacting housing affordability, which is a really current topic that has been talked about all over the board and something that people are really trying to tackle and figure out and implement in the design of future communities and current communities. Housing affordability is a huge issue, and it's going to take a lot to help mitigate it and implement more affordable options moving forward. It's a very large issue and it's got a lot involved in it, so it's not an easy thing to tackle, but it was really cool to have a CE course touching on some elements that may implemented in the future years to help increase affordability. He covered some really cool examples of well-designed communities, one of them being the Kentlands in Maryland. It was the first community that he went to that was a master plan community that had a multi-use or had multiple different housing types in one community, very walkable, different community centers and amenities for people to take advantage of so they didn't need to rely on their car. So that was the first example he used because it was the first thing that he saw in his early career, early on, that really sparked this idea of properly designed, community-oriented development. Something else that was really cool that he implemented, or something else that was really cool that he talked about, was how planning and zoning is really the DNA of place. Because if you create certain zoning in an area, it will determine what is then built in that area, community development. So he showed how all the way back in New York City in 1916 is where New York City is really touted as being the first practices of zoning standards. And then you're going through that timeline and seeing multiple ways of how zoning was implemented and then enforced and became rule and practice that every community started to implement, whether it was done well or poorly. We see examples of both. But, from 1916 to World War II in 1939 to 1945, you've got a myriad of different things that implemented certain zoning practices throughout the country. And then after World War II, you start seeing books written on zoning and how to properly develop cities and develop communities. You've got Jane Jacobs' book, The Life and Death of Great American Cities, is something that urban planners talk about all the time. It's a book that he referenced, that the walkability and the life of a city is really can be contributed to the design and the zoning of the city. If you zone it properly and have good building practices for the developers to follow, it will create a spirit and a liveliness in the community that you wouldn't have if you just simply let developers go and either maximize their dollars or do whatever they want to do. And it becomes an impingement on certain flows of the city and actual workability and the function and the livability of the community. So it was really cool to see kind of the life timeline of the DNA that zoning has had in our history of cities. So it was really cool. Daybreak being an example here in Utah of a great master plan community that's got a multiple different housing types and a lot of walkability and green space and contiguous paths throughout the entire community so that everyone can enjoy it. It's not just for a specific class of housing like single family homes. So after the CE class, we did get a really cool tour of Daybreak. You'll see some of the videos that I'll show you here as we continue on throughout the video. Just examples of what they're doing in Daybreak to stand out and provide amazing amenities and amazing community centered around that spirit of life and proper zoning and development and what it's done for their housing and their communities and their people who live. All right, so let's get back to it. Your realtor might do different things and learn about different things, or they just show up to continuing education certified courses or classes just to stamp their 18 credit hours over 2 years. You should ask your realtor what exactly they care about, what education courses that they're taking, because it does identify the topics and interests that your realtor cares about. And frankly, I think it's important to be learning about these pertinent topics so that you can better serve the clients that you are working with. So I'm going to take you just on a little journey of what I learned about today, show you a little of the behind the scenes, and let me know what you guys think.
You know, this landscape wall went in this kind of spring, summer, so it's all brand new. We're super excited to actually see it after years and years of planning for this. So what we're looking at here, this is kind of the heart of this watercourse that goes, it runs all the way down, you can kind of see under that bridge. Just keeps going all the way to the end of where kind of the Daybreak development stops along Prosperity Road down there. And then it comes down here. We pass some sections, what we call the lower lakes down there. And that's kind of where it ends, going to the east here. And then it follows this road all the way up through what we call the Braided Creek right here. And then kind of stops not too far up here for right now, but a second phase is getting built.
It's a really great CE course today. Really appreciate everyone who put it on. It was actually super pertinent information for the development of Daybreak and further future communities around Salt Lake City. So it was really interesting to dive into some of these topics. I studied urban ecology, which is city planning at the University of Utah. So it is something I'm actually passionate about. So this kind of education is really interesting to me, and I had a lot of cool questions and learned a lot today. So Mike, the teacher of today's course, I really appreciate you taking the time to develop the class as well as bringing it to the state and getting it certified for that continuing education, because we need more courses like that, and it's of value to me and it's going to be of value to my clients moving forward. So thank you, and thanks Daybreak for hosting it, because I got to go out to the water course and see a lot of the cool new model homes coming up in this area and just see how they went about planning such a beautiful master plan community here in Utah. So if you want to know more about Daybreak, you saw hints of what you like. I'm going to be doing some tours of model houses coming here soon. So pay attention, hit that bell, like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys think. If there's continuing education that you think your realtor should be taking, let me know, because I'm in the market for more education as my 2 years are up in November. So I've got a few courses to take. Again, really appreciate you engaging in the content. I love you all, and I'll see you on the next one.